We'll start the class with the prayers. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. We are on the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Purushottama Yoga. This is the chapter which deals with jnana yoga. And what exactly is this jnanam? We are going to study today. When we enter the spiritual study, we have three questions in us. Who am I? All of us want to know what is the real nature of mind. That is one of the main goals of the study of the Bhagavad Gita. The second goal is to understand who the creator of this world is. And the third question we have is, I have a sense of limitation throughout my life. I feel limited to this body because it's finite. I feel limited to the mind because I feel the emotions of sorrow. So how do I get rid of this is a perennial quest for all the seekers. These three questions are beautifully answered in this chapter. And the real answer to all these three questions, right, is in the understanding of atma. Throughout the Gita, it has been said that I have two natures. I have a vyavaharika nature of transactional reality, in which I am with the body, senses, mind, and I experience the world. I also have a higher nature, which is the pure Chaitanya, which is the pure consciousness. The world represented by Ishvara, the creator, this is the answer for the jiva. Who am I? The jivatma. The second is, who is the creator? What is this whole world which I'm experiencing? The creator is said to be Ishvara, a higher principle than this jiva. But the creator also has got two natures, which is one which we can all see, which is the visible part of that creator, which is the world, which is experienced by the five sense organs. Beyond this is the nature of Chaitanya, of the creator. That pure awareness or consciousness is there in this world, but it is invisible. That Chaitanya principle in this body, that pure awareness in this body, is the same as in the entire creation. That is what is being revealed in the verses from 6th verse onwards till the 15th verse. This is what is being revealed in this chapter. The oneness. This is called in technical Vedanta as Aikyam. Jiva Brahma Aikyam. Oneness between the individual body-mind complex and with the entire creation. Oneness between the micro and the macrocosm. There is an entity. I must have faith in the scriptures which reveals this entity called as Atma. Atma with reference to this body, Brahman or Ishvara with reference to the total creation. If I am not able to understand this concept very deeply in my own mind, the fault does not lie with the Bhagavad Gita. The fault lies in my own preparation of the purity of the mind. This knowledge can be easily gained and it can be owned up by a pure mind. A pure mind is one which has got no doshas in it, no deficiencies in it. What are the doshas? What are the deficiencies in the mind? We are going to study in the next chapter, that is 16th chapter and the 17th chapter. But right now, our study is the direct knowledge which will give me mukti, here and now. If I know that, you see, I have now explained to you that we have two natures. We must have full faith in the scriptures and believe in it. And then there are certain revelations. There is a particular methodology which we have to follow to understand this Atma. And that methodology is being described from verse number 6 onwards, which we are going to study today. Very, very important section of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And at any time, you need to understand these verses to the depth of your mind. It should pulsate so much that you are always aware of this fact that I am this Atma. At any time, you cannot forget this particular knowledge. What has happened in all the previous chapters where the Lord describes about karma yoga, upasana yoga, those are all preparations. But what was the preparations for? The preparations was for this knowledge about Atma, about my real nature. All the preparations were meant for this truth. This truth has been defined in the Upanishads and it has been very well analyzed in the Brahma Sutras. This truth has to be learned by the jiva who is now in this body. And the jiva has to purify the mind by repeated listening to these scriptures. Listening is one method, contemplation is another method. Third method is removing the notion that I am the body or mind. This is what is called popularly as Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. So with that introduction, let's understand, let's get into the 6th verse where we stopped last week. This is a very, very important verse. I explained to you last week also. There is a verse in the Kathopanishad, Natatra Suryo Bhati, Mandokyo Upanishad also it appears. That is the verse which we chant when we do the puja or the arti at home or in the temples. Now the same meaning is given in the Bhagavad Gita. न तद् भासयते सूर्यः न शशांको न पावकः यद् गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद् धाम परमं मम. This is a verse which indicates to us, how do I realize this Atma in me? This is an indicator. For those who are attending the Wednesday sessions where we are doing Mandokyo Upanishad, this is the same what the Mandokyo Upanishad describes in the 7th mantra. They both, this verse and that The seventh mantra are exactly describing the same destination, the same goal. Now, how do I realize this? That is the main, what is the methodology? See, we are in the waking state. No doubt we are studying right now. But when we are studying these type of verses, our mind should dwell on the actual meaning of these verses. So when this verse says that the sun does not shine there, the moon does not shine there, the fire cannot illumine that, and once you have gone there, that is the final destination. There is no more returning to this vyavahara. What does this mean? It is the supreme abode. Here the Lord says, it is my abode. Lord Krishna is teaching Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, if you want to know what is my real nature, this is my real nature. By saying this, Lord Krishna wants Arjuna to realize that you, Arjuna, are also of the same nature. When Arjuna, or when we try to understand this, we have to use this principle of dropping the three states of the mind. Each one of us has a mind, which is a reflecting surface. Like the mirror, the mind is a reflecting surface. It can reflect the atma, which is a universal phenomena. It is a universal existing entity. That entity which exists throughout the universe, which is sarvagataha, which means it is all pervading, that gets reflected in a particular mind. I'm going to explain that in the next 4 verses. This is what is going to be explained. Again and again, we are going to talk about the same reflection which is there in the mind. This is how the Upanishads reveal the nature of Atma. Now, as soon as this reflection comes in, we are in the waking state. When we go to sleep, this reflection goes off and settles down in the original Chaitanya, consciousness. In that original consciousness, there is no light of the sun which can shine there. In that consciousness, there is no light of the moon. There is no fire principle in that pure Chaitanya. In the waking state, it is the material light. The Surya, which you see every day, is material in nature. The only thing which is the spiritual in nature is this Chaitanya that gets reflected in the sun, in the Surya Mandalam, and then it gets known to us. So if I want to realize my true nature, I have to follow the path of dropping the waking mind, dropping the dreaming mind, dropping the sleeping mind. And then you ask the question, who am I? Then this verse will make meaning to you. Otherwise, this verse will be just a verse you can understand the word meaning, which is called as vachyartha, but you won't know what does it indicate. What is the lakshyartha of this verse? So Vedanta is the science which deals with how to interpret these verses correctly. So these are the indicators. When our mind travels in this direction, then it is able to understand the nature of the mind itself. By the end of the 4 or 5 verses, you will have full knowledge about the nature of the mind itself. Because the mind has a nature of manifestation and manifestation. What doesn't change is this light of consciousness, which is always there, which is the core of our personality. It is the source from which the mind itself rises. The senses, they rise. Universes rise. The 14 lokas, they rise from this awareness consciousness principle. This is called as Satchit Atma, and this is self-luminous. Self-luminous means it is self-evident. So when you drop your mind, whatever the mind is able to understand the nature, let that be the nature of Atma. That is how we should try to contemplate on these verses. Swaprakasha means it reveals itself. And in that pure state in which the mind itself is dormant, there is this principle called as Atma. You have to go so deep in your personality. If you look at the 5 koshas and try to understand what is Atma, you will fail miserably. The gross body, you cannot say it is Atma, it is myself, it is my real core, because it goes away. The subtle mind, you cannot say it is my real nature, because morning it behaves in one way, in the evening it behaves in another way. I really don't know how to say that can be me, because that is dependent on the conditions outside the body. And also, what are the vasanas, the impressions which you have. So the mind cannot be me. So if the gross body is not me, the subtle body is not me, can the causal body be me? No, it cannot be, because causal body means what I experience in my sleep state, which is ignorant state, where I experience nothing, blankness. It cannot be me, because how can I be blank? How can I be inert? That blankness is equivalent to any table, chair, or wall, or stone, anything. It cannot be me. But I have the experience, I am awareness. I am Chaitanyam, I am conscious, I am a being. Every minute I am able to say, yes, I am a being. The eyes are able to see, the ears are able to hear, because of that pure being. That being, the knowledge is the basic content of that being. I am aware. Awareness is the content of each one of us. That is the content of the core of our personality. That awareness is called as chit, knowledge, pure knowledge. That is what is our nature. That knowledge chit is sat. It exists. And that knowledge which is revealing itself, it is existing by itself, is pure bliss, pure ananda. That is our real nature. That is what is being revealed in this 6th mantra, Swaprakasha Atma, self-evident. It does not require the light of the sun to illuminate, because it cannot illuminate. It is material in nature. It is not awareness, consciousness. Consciousness can reveal the material 5 elements, the Surya, the Chandra, the Agni Tattvam, all these are illumined. That is why we show, when we show the Arti to the Bhagavan, we are saying and remembering that principle called as awareness. And by that, we are able to link our nature with that nature and say, oh Lord, you are the awareness principle in this whole cosmos. That is your real nature. What I am seeing as a form of Rama or Shiva or Vishnu or Devi in the idols, in the temples, is only a name and form which is seen by the eyes, but that eyes cannot reveal that. It is only an indicator to go deep into our personality and ask the question, who is this seer in this body which is seeing this idol outside? That seer principle in this body is the same consciousness. In that principle, the entire cosmos rises every day when I go to sleep. It rises every day when I wake up in the morning. Again, it goes back into that pure Chaitanya. How is it possible that this is the truth? You may ask this question. Every seeker has this doubt in his mind. Can this be the truth? The answer is yes, because it is revealed by the scriptures. And this is where Shraddha comes into play. If you have Shraddha and you accept this as the truth and then try to understand the scriptures and understand your own life based on this methodology of thinking, then you can understand that there is no sorrow for you as consciousness, as Chaitanya, as the pure Atma, because it gets dissolved in it. That is why there is no dosha in the pramanam. There is no dosha in the scriptures. The dosha, the deficiency lies in my understanding of the scriptures correctly. Very important to understand what the Bhagavad Gita is revealing. In the Divine Quotes group, there is a beautiful verse which was put up by Murli, and that was the 69th verse of the second chapter. Yanisha sarva bhutanam yasyam jagrathi sarvami. That verse is also a similar verse. You should understand that verse from the Atma Tattva. From this core of the personality, for a jnani who is living in that core of his personality, this world of jagrath is nothing but it is night for him, because he is aware of his nature. And what is the night for a jnani? It is where the ignorant people are sleeping. He is aware about his real nature. That is his nature. So this verse and the second chapter, 69th verse, they talk about the same tattva. They talk about pure consciousness. A jnani who knows this pure consciousness, he is always awake to his real nature. He has no night. He has no blankness. He is always full of energy, full of enthusiasm, because that is the life principle in him. He is not bothered with the small little turmoils which come in the mind when he interacts with the world. He knows how to face that. His pure mind is what he is, and that pure mind, this consciousness shines. That is what is the meaning of this verse. I will take a little bit more in depth because this verse is very, very beautiful. These verses are very important for us to realize in the state of meditation. Many of us, we don't know how to meditate. Go through the meaning of this verse, chant this verse, learn by heart this verse. It's not difficult. You will be able to learn it by heart if you chant this verse 10 times. Try it out. Just chant 10 times. Automatically the words will come in your mouth and then you will remember it and you will never forget it. So when you visit in meditation, many people say that I get a lot of thoughts of the world. You need to substitute the thought of the world with this verse. When you do that, that is called as Vedantic meditation. Once you practice it for a few weeks, then this becomes more stronger. Your mind gets the strength to contemplate more and more about Atma, and a day comes when that mind tells you, I am Atma. Your own mind has to say to yourself, I am the pure Chaitanya. It happens. It happens the moment you have the clarity of the knowledge. It's very easy because that is our nature. In Tattva Bodha, it explained to us what is the nature of the body, what is the nature of the sense organs, and how does cognition take place. Cognition is a word which we use for when we perceive the world. Perceive means it is a combination of all our sense organs. When they bring stimuli into the mind, it becomes a cognition in the mind. The ears, the presiding deity for the ears, there is a presiding deity, and the ears are formed by the element which is space. Space is the element which makes these ears. And the field of cognition for the ears is the basic field of the space, the attribute of space, which is sound. See, the structure of our body, if you understand properly, then Atma understanding becomes very easy. So the body made up of 5 elements, the world made up of 5 elements, they are interacting with each other, and that is what we call it as Vyavahara. That is what we call it as our whole life. This is the philosophy behind our life. The skin has been the main component of the skin is the air element, and the air element has the attribute of touch. All this we have seen. I'm just revising in this scene in Tattva Bodha. Eyes are from the Surya principle, and that helps us to cognize the forms and colors. So if I am seeing a shape, because the light is falling on the body in that particular object outside, it is perceived by my mind. The stimuli is brought, and then I perceive. My mind perceives it. Similarly, the tongue has got the taste, and the nose has got the smell. So all our perceptions are governed by their devatas. There is a presiding deity. The names of the devatas we have seen in the Tattva Bodha. Turiyam, or this consciousness, this pure Chaitanyam, is the one behind all this devatas also. Devata means it is a principle. For, like you have the principle of gravitation, it is controlled, like the Prithvi is, the earth is controlled, the inner controller, there is an inner controller of the Prithvi, of the earth. Similarly, there's an inner controller for everything in creation. And the ultimate inner controller is called as Antaryami. That antaryami, which is described in Mandokyo Upanishad, is controlled by this power of Chaitanya. This is how we should understand, so that we can understand these verses. See, we should learn to drop our identification with the gross body and gross world. And this is how we should take our mind deeper and deeper. So when the arati is shown, eyes close by themselves, automatically. You go to the temple and you see when the arati is being shown, most of us will just close our eyes and look within. It's an automatic process, because what we see outside is only the idol. But what my mind is thinking about is that consciousness principle, which is the inner controller. Jyotisham Jyotihi, that is the abode, that is the locus of Ishvara. That is what Lord is teaching us here. This is the way you look at me, Arjuna. You want to know who I am? This is the way you try to understand. Why Lord is teaching Arjuna like this? Because he knows that Arjuna, when he understands through his mind about the Lord's nature, he will go deep within his own mind, like how we are able to now go within our mind and remember our real nature. Why I'm saying remember, why I say recognize, because every night we are cognizing our real nature. What we do in sleep is recognize that pure awareness. That is our real home. So because this pure consciousness is ever lit in its own sense. Awareness is always there. Right now, you and I can always just shut our minds, you will be awareness. Let a thought not rise in your mind, you are awareness. That is what we try to do in meditation. We try to reduce our number of thoughts. After we have been able to reduce the thoughts in the mind, apply this principle. Natat bhasayate suryaha. Apply this particular verse at that time. Not when you are dealing with the world and then you are interacting with the world, you cannot apply it. It is not meant for that. This is a verse which is meant when you are in meditation, going deep into your own core personality. Apply this verse, you will definitely fall into the truth. There is no doubt. That is the beauty of these verses. So it is the changeless entity among the changing conditions of the mind. The three gunas of Prakriti. This is where we must understand, this is what is called as knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. In chapter 14, we have seen in depth that my mind is made up of three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Therefore, it has different temperaments. Sometimes it wants to enjoy knowledge. Sometimes it wants to go shopping, wants to do action. Sometimes it wants to sleep. This is the nature of the mind. The mind is a medium. It is the closest to atma. That is why it is very difficult for me. It is the subtlest principle in creation, the mind. But it is possible to realize it if we know this atma. Because the moment you know this atma, mind becomes very clear. Oh, this is the mind. Mind has woken up, therefore the body is seen. Mind has gone to sleep, the body is not seen. But am I the body or the seen body or the unseen body? No. I am the atma, which reveals both the seen body and the unseen body forever. This is the way the body may leave this, the mind may leave this body and may take another body. Doesn't matter. It's a law of creation. But having known this atma, I do not take any body at any time. That is the knowledge. So this is what I'm trying to explain. They appear when the mind is awake. The body world appears when the mind is awake. It is manifest. This is what is called as manifestation. Manifestation is like a projection, like a dream. It manifests. And then it goes into unmanifest. Again, it manifests. Again, it unmanifests. So similarly, waking is similar to dream, where the mind manifests a waking world. In the dream, it manifests a dream world. The mind has this power. The power of the waking world, there is a bigger power. The Nidra Shakti belongs to the individual mind. Therefore, it can experience the dream. That is a small, limited mind, working with limited vasanas, impressions. But the waking world, there is a bigger mind, which is called as Hiranyagarbha, which is the mind of the Ishvara, which projects this entire world. For the individual jiva to understand his nature also as that of Hiranyagarbha. So this going and coming is only in time and space. Time and space are born in consciousness. Time and space resolve in consciousness. This is a very fundamental fact which you should note. If you want to reach that atma, this is a very important factor. Time is not limitless. It comes to an end. When does it end? Whenever I go to sleep. If I go to sleep at 6 in the evening, my time is not there. I have no more time experience. The time experience comes when the mind is there. This reality is the source of time and space and causation. Causation means in time, there are certain things which happen. In time, body is born. In time, the body is lost. But this atma is not in time. It is always beyond time. It is always free from time. This atma is free from the cause and the effect. That is how we should understand. Before knowledge of this atma, I took myself as this ego, I, the mind. But when I get this atma knowledge, I have the knowledge, I am atma, I am not the ego. This is the transformation. And this transformation happens in the light of Chaitanya. Because only in this light of pure Chaitanya, pure consciousness, you will understand this fact. That the mind has manifestation, mind has unmanifestation. This you will understand only if you are the Atma. Say, tell yourself, I am the light of consciousness, which is in this light of consciousness, the mind is manifesting, the mind is unmanifesting. The mind has got a specific body, a male body or a female body, according to the law of karma. It has taken birth in this world of time and space. Kshetram, kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata, kshetra kshetraktayo nanam, tatta jnanam matam mama. Very famous verse of the 13th chapter. Know me as the knower of the field in all the fields. That is the description, that is the oneness which the Lord Krishna taught us in the 13th chapter, the 3rd verse. This is the Aikyam verse. This is the oneness verse. And this verse which we are now seeing is the oneness. The same topic is being revealed again. That Chaitanyam is the ultimate knower. Absolute knower. It is not relative knower. Relative knower is the mind. With that light of consciousness, the mind backed with that light of consciousness in the waking state or in the dream state becomes the knower. So the ego I is this knower. So we think that this mind is me. That is where the mistake is happening. We have to drop the mind through this knowledge, go to that state in which the mind itself is not there, and note that that is my real home. It's a very beautiful verse, this one. So if you contemplate on this verse in this fashion, there is no doubt each one of us can go to the depth of our personality and see the truth for each one of us. So this is the state in which there is no bheda, that is abheda, undifferentiated state. Undifferentiated means there is no division, no sajatiya bheda, vijatiya bheda, swagata bheda. There is no two consciousness in that state. There is only one consciousness. There is no, that is what is called as sajatiya. There are no two consciousness. Vijatiya means there is no matter and consciousness in that state, because matter resolves in that consciousness. That is why it is called as non-dual state, Advaita. This is what we are learning in the Bhagavad Gita in these sessions is Advaita Vedanta, where the ultimate truth is non-dual by nature. That is what we call it as Vijatiya. Vijatiya means there is no otherness. Like chair and man, different nature, different jati. Swagata Beda. Swagata means there is no internal difference. Between the leg and the hand, there is an internal difference. They are parts of the body. Consciousness does not have any parts. These three words, if you use, Atma is Sajatiya Rahitaha, Vijatiya Rahitaha, Swagata Bheda Rahitaha. That means without these three differences, distinctions, Atma exists. Again, these are all the methods. Natat bhasayate surya is one method, one prakriya, one method to reach the Atma. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda, Rahitaha, without this distinctions is another indicator, another method. This is what is, through these methods, you can arrive at the truth. It's possible. Each one of us can realize this. I am not the ego which is sitting in this body-mind complex. But right now, I am listening to the talk, which means I am temporarily taken the dress of the ego. But my real nature is pure Chaitanya. Chandogya Upanishad, there are many Upanishads which talk about this Atma in different ways. Chandogya says, just as a bird tied to a rope flutters here and there, and when it cannot get anywhere to go, it surrenders itself to its own bondage. Similarly, the mind runs in all directions throughout the waking state. And it doesn't find any resting place where it can rest peacefully. Because the prarabdha karma keeps pushing it out into the world. And in the end, it surrenders to the atma. It surrenders to the prana shakti, and then it goes to sleep. So the prana shakti is functioning in sleep, but the mind is not there. And at that time, the jiva is awake to his nature. What is night for Ajnani jiva is waking state for the jnani. This is how you should understand our real nature. This is another method by which we say we use how the mind rests in sleep. It rests where the mind rests in the prana. And this prana, for this prana, what is the adhishtanam? What is the powering this prana? What is the life which is behind this prana shakti is atma. Because of the power of atma, because of the power of this pure chaitanyam, which is my real nature, this prana shakti itself is working. I am the illuminator of this body-mind complex. I am the light. This light principle is very popular in Vedanta. It is used in many, many Upanishads. Taittiriya Upanishad, if you want to go deeper into this light principle, you study Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Jnanam, light means it is knowledge. Darkness means ignorance. And we are always the source of knowledge, all knowledges. Physics knowledge, chemistry knowledge, I am the source. Without that pure I, there is no other knowledge. Because the mind itself doesn't exist without this pure I. So knowing what is behind the ego I, the mind I, is the ultimate truth revealed in the Bhagavad Gita, revealed in the Upanishads. Many mantras are there in Brahma Sutras. In Brahma Sutra, we analyze these verses. This particular verse is analyzed in the Brahma Sutra. What light are we talking about? Is it the light of the sun? Is it the light of the moon? Is it the light of the fire? Or is it the light of Atma? So we are all aware of our body only because of the light of Chaitanya. That is why we are able to say mind comes back and rests in consciousness like the bird roams around in the world and rests in the tree every night. Our real home is right now here. Our real home is this Atma. We cannot try to make this Atma like an object and try to see it in meditation. We have to only own it up. Reach the self by knowing, not by doing. That is why we say that karma is useless for knowledge. It is these scriptures which reveal the ultimate truth. Jnanat evatu kaivalya. It is ultimate freedom comes from knowledge, not through action. So a yogi is one. A true yogi is not a yogi who does physical asanas. A true yogi is a one who has realized this Atma as his own nature. This Atma, once you realize it, you're not going to come back and say that this samsara of joy and sorrow belongs to me. You will never say that, because that is a misunderstanding. It is an error. It is a khyati. It is an error of the mind. This mind gets this knowledge through the scriptures, through these verses, and it releases itself from the bondage to this body. These are the moksha shastra verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Every chapter, at the end, there is a verse which says, Bhagavad Gita deals with Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya. The sixth mantra is the Brahma Vidya of Bhagavad Gita. And all these verses, you will find they are very, very beautiful verses for meditation. You can take each verse one day. Today, I'm going to meditate on the 6th verse of the 15th chapter. Tomorrow, you can meditate on one verse for one full week. Keep on reminding, keep on repeating it in your own mind. I am the pure light of consciousness. I am not illumined by the sun. I am not illumined by the fire, the light of the fire. I am not illumined by the moonlight, but I am the light in which all these things are appearing and disappear. When do they disappear? They disappear in the sleep state. That is why I say you have to go to the core of the personality. The core of the personality is not the waking state, it is not the dream state, it is not the sleep state, it is the state of atma. It is the state of thuriyam. It is the state of pure knowledge, in which there is no world, in which there is no body, there is no otherness. I alone am is the final knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. There is nothing else. That is why we say it is Advaita. All these verses, they deal with Advaita principle of Vedanta. Okay, the next verse. Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhutas sanatanaha manashashtanendriyani prakritisthani karshati. This verse, some people have taken as the main verse, and they try to analyze, they build a philosophy around this verse. Especially there is a school of philosophy which is called as Visishta Advaitin. Visishta Advaitin is a philosophy. There are three philosophies broadly. Dvaitin is one philosophy. They all believe in the Vedas. They all analyze the Bhagavad Gita, they analyze the Upanishads, and they analyze the Brahma Sutras. So one group says there is only Dvaitam, me and the world. I am the individual, the world, the creator is the other. This is called as Dvaitam. Advaita means what? This is the other extreme. There is no Jiva separate and no Ishvara separate. Both are ultimately one. That is one extreme, which is called as Advaitam. There is a second extreme, which is called as Dvaitam. Now, there is a third one in between who says that I am not one with Ishvara, but I am a part of Ishvara. And they are the people who use this verse. Mamaive amshaha jiva loke. This is a very important verse. You have to understand this verse correctly. Here the Lord is saying, an eternal portion of myself has become the living soul in the world of life. It is not that the jiva, real nature is this being a part of Ishvara, but it is a reflection of Ishvara. This is where the difference, this is where in Brahma Sutra, Vyasacharya negates the Visishta Advaitins. Visishta Advaitin people say, they say that I can never be equivalent to Ishvara because Ishvara is the Lord. I am a jiva, I am a limited soul. Lord is the creator of the entire universe. I can't even create a small, I only create only confusions. I can't create anything in life. But all this is with reference to the body and mind. Here we are not talking of the body and mind. Here we are talking about the Chaitanyam principle. It is the consciousness principle. At the body level, at the mind level, there is a Bheda, no doubt. Advaitin, they agree. When you are in transactional world, you have differences between body and body, between mind and mind. There is a difference. But at the core level is what Advaita says, it is one. Because from that pure Chaitanyam only the whole world is springing up and whole world is resolving. There is a lot of reasoning behind what I'm saying in these verses. They are all coming from the strength of the Upanishads. That is why I keep saying that the Shraddha, the faith in the scriptures, you should have 100%. Then with that faith, if your intellect has that faith and then it tries to reason out, then even reason will appeal to you and you will understand the Shastric reasoning very clearly. Don't use your own tarka, your own logic. Your own intellect will give you some silly logic that we should never use. We should use how Vedanta teaches us these verses. Superficially, they may appeal to be difference. Here, superficially, if you read, you will say, yes, it's a part. There are two separate parts. Jiva is only an attribute of Paramatma, only a small part. Paramatma is very big, I am a part. What Advaitin says in the Brahma Sutra, it comes in, if you remain as a part of that Ishvara, you can never have moksha. You can never be free. You will always be limited. Even while in this life you are limited, even when you drop the body, you are limited. What is the use of that when you are still in bandha, when you are still in bondage? So Advaita Vedanta says, this reflection, this part they are talking about is a reflection. When I go through the whole verse, this will become more clear to you. Manashashtandhyani prakritisthani karshati. I abide in the sense organs and the mind. The five sense organs and the mind, I abide in it. The whole life principle is being explained in this verse. Very important to understand these verses. Technically, you should be clear. Then only this meaning will go deep and it will reveal your personality. If you're not able to understand, you can ask me again in the chat. I can try to again explain, but this is the truth. This is the revelation of Atma. The sixth mantra is each of these mantras are revealing the core of my personality. And these verses are the easiest in the whole Bhagavad Gita. If you are able to go through these lines properly, the question of who am I will disappear from your mind. You will never be bothered with this question ever in your life. We all come to Bhagavad Gita, we all come to Tattva Bodha initially, Atma Bodha, Dridrishya Viveka. Finally, we come to Bhagavad Gita. This is the verse which will help me to break my shackles of the mind and move out from this body and then say, I am ever free, Atma. Atma becomes a living soul in the world. This is the analysis. It abides in Prakriti. What is Atma? Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda Rahita. Very important point. See, if you understand these points, this is the methodology. Once you understand the methodology correct, you will arrive at the truth of Atma. No doubt, this is 100%. You will be clear, who am I? So I am that pure light of Atma. Now that pure light, it becomes a living soul in the waking state. How? It abides in Prakriti. Abides means what? It gets reflected in the mind. When this mind gets the reflection, it gets the life. And then what happens? It draws the 5 sense organs to the mind. That means the mind, as soon as it wakes up, it gets the life of knowledge through the Atma principle. So this pure consciousness is only appearing in the mind as reflected consciousness. How? Exactly like you stand in front of a mirror, a reflection automatically gets formed. So consciousness is always there. Body, the mind wakes up, it gets a reflection. So am I Nitya Muktaha? Am I ever free? Yes. As Atma, I am ever free. But as reflection in that mind, I am never free. This is the difference you should understand. Very subtle difference. But if you understand this difference, you are a Mukta Purusha now, here and now. So this reflection is formed when the mind wakes up every morning. And this reflection goes away when the mind goes to sleep. When does the mind wake up? Whenever the prarabdha karma of the mind pushes that mind to wake up, it will wake up. When will the mind leave this body? Whenever the prarabdha karma is over for that mind, with the help of this body, it will quit. And who is responsible for it? The Lord is this pure Chaitanya. In its presence only all this are happening. So what is responsible for the jiva to leave the body? It is not the Lord, it is the karma of the jiva. When that karma gets over, the jiva is free. That is the law of karma. Or when the jiva gets the knowledge of Atma, and at any time during its lifetime, in this lifetime or in the next lifetime, whichever mind gets this knowledge of Atma, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, as a mamaiva amshaha jiva loke, this verse, in this verse you try to understand, meditate on this, make this knowledge penetrate deep into your own consciousness, your mind will learn to drop. That is the beauty, that is the methodology, that is the prakriya. So every moment we are that pure consciousness. We are Turiyam. In the Mandokyo Upanishad, we understand the 7th mantra as Turiyam. For those of you who are doing this Bhagavad Gita, just take the Mandokyo Upanishad mantra. Even if you don't understand anything else, understand what is the 7th mantra of Mandokyo Upanishad. Each word, there are 15 indicators there. Each word is exactly what you can meditate. It is the same meaning, the same destination. You will arrive by meditating on that seventh mantra, and on this seventh mantra here, you will come to the same Atma. What Bhagavad Gita says is, it's only an imagination of the mind that we think that we are an individual tied up with this body. It's an imagination. Why? Because in the sleep state, what are you? You're not imagining anything, but you are existing as what? As this pure Chaitanya. Only in the waking state, your mind keeps on thinking, I am a mother, I am a father. These are all required for the waking state. For the waking state to perform the duty, we need this adhyasas, superimpositions. Because that is how the Lord has created the waking state. With adhyasa only, all transaction takes place, with superimposition. That I am not that pure Chaitanya, I am this Atma. I am not that pure Atma, I am this body and mind. With that, we do all our transactions, but when we go to sleep, we drop this nature. And we go back to our real nature as Atma. You touch your heart and say, I am that Brahman. Brahman means it is the name given to that pure Chaitanya, which I was explaining to you so far. Satchid Ananda Atma is another name. These are all names given as per different contexts. Like Brahman. See, when you don't say it is a Jivatma or a Paramatma, we say it is Brahman. It is Brihatvat Brahman, all pervading nature, entity. Because we can't give it a name. It is not an, you see, anything which is got an attribute in a substance can be given a name. This is what has been described in Chandogya Upanishad. Name is given is a vacharambanam, is originating from your mouth. Mouth is the substratum for the mouth is the mind, the thought. A thought is possible only when there is a 5 sense organs who have given the forms to the mind. A thought is a vritti, is a stimulus coming from the 5 sense organ, the 5 sense objects. They are giving some impressions to the mind. That is what is called as a vritti. And any name which you utter is belonging to the world of 5 sense organs. Whether it is a high sound, low sound, no sound is vritti. Whether I see red color, yellow color, blue color, flower, pushpam is a vritti, is a thought. We try to link a nature of name and form to that thought, and then we connect it inside our minds. But Atma is the light in which all this is happening. That is how we should understand the difference between mind, the medium which is called as the mind. We drop this medium in the sleep state, and then we are one with our true nature. So let this thought be a prominent thought amongst all other thoughts of the anatma world. This thought of Atma. I am the pure Chaitanya. In this Chaitanya, the anatma mind rises and falls, appears, disappears. Body appears and disappears in the light of Atma. Going through this understanding removes ignorance. Ignorance about our true nature. When we travel in this direction, the karana shariram, the impressions of prarabdha karma, the sanchita karma in the causal body, they get burnt. That is how the self-knowledge happens, and then it burns all the old impressions which are lying from since so many births. I have got this ignorance of Atma. I need to remove all this. It can be removed by this one small light of Atma, the knowledge of Atma coming from the Bhagavad Gita. This lamp of knowledge, if it is lit properly in the intellect, can burn all the sanchita karma, agami karmas, which belong to the individual mind and the body. And then when this jiva leaves this body, he is got videha mukti, means he has got no more deha to take up. Jivan mukti happens now itself when he is learning the Bhagavad Gita, because he has dropped his jivatvam. The person, the personality which he was holding on to gets dropped here and now. He still performs the duty. In the Vyavahara state, nobody can drop the personality of the body and mind. But only through knowledge you can own up, I am the consciousness principle. So jnanat evadu kaivalyam comes in Chandogya Upanishad. What it means is that you can get freedom only from the knowledge of Atma. There is no other way for you to get liberated. And what happens when you get this knowledge? What happens to your intellect is it understands that you are ever free. It is not after this whole process of the spiritual study we get liberation, but actually liberation is my nature. I am ever free. In this ever free Chaitanyam, body is an appearance. It is a false entity. It's a shadow which comes and goes. I am no more connected with it as the truth of the jiva, but I know I am this pure light. Taittiriya Upanishad, this is the verse I was talking about. Om Brahma Vida Apnoti Param Tadesham Yuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhaya. Guhaya means deep inside the intellect, know this truth, that I am this pure Brahman, Satyam. It is jnanam, it is the light of knowledge. In this light is what is called as ananda. It is the absolute ananda in which there is no light of any sorrow, because the ignorance is gone. And the one who knows this Atma, one who knows this Brahman, in the cave of his own intellect, he is the one who drops all his desires and becomes one with that pure Atma. And when this happens, the jiva, he is no more, doesn't become a jiva again. You see, once the intellect has been illumined to that brilliance of light of this Atma as the ever-evident, self-evident Atma, then it can never come back and take up small limitations. That is what it means. So the individuality is gone, and the entire jiva knows that it is ultimately one Atma. So the waker, what happens to the waker then? The waker ends as the super waker consciousness, super waker awareness. There is no slipping back, and this is what is called as aparoksha anubhuti. Aparoksha means directly one has the vision of his nature as himself. This pure light, we are talking of Atma, is my light. So in the waking state, what happens is this light falls on the mind and it appears as if it is a separate entity. But it is always one with the Atma. Non-dual Atma. Upanishads clearly says that Atma is Ekaha. It is Advaitam. One of the words used in Mandokyo Upanishad is Advaitam, non-dual. That is the word which describes this Atma. That light is non-dual. It is only one. So when the Jiva, who is now living as a separate entity, understands the nature as that pure consciousness, he learns to, he recognizes his nature, which is Turiyam. Turiyam is another word for Chaitanya. In other states, we need a body, mind to know the world. Whenever the mind is there, you will have the knowledge of the body as well as the world. Because mind, senses, pranas, they're all together. They all appear and disappear as one. Turiyam is not object to be known. Chaitanyam is not an object to be known, but it is self-evident subject. Mediumless knower. It knows itself and it helps us to know the world. Objectless awareness, asparsha yoga. That is objectless awareness. Is another word you should remember. Objectless awareness. When is it possible? In the sleep state. There is no objects. There is no beings in the. There is no nothing. There is no medium at all. See, medium means the body and the mind. Without this body-mind medium, there are no objects in the world for the Chaitanyam to cognize. It will only cognize itself. Atma is naturally known automatically, effortlessly as aparoksha tattvena. I am that Atma, which this Bhagavad Gita is revealing to me. In that state of pure consciousness, there is no object to be known. The wave, which was the jiva, the mind, which was like a part, the wave is a part of ocean. Wave and ocean are nothing but water. The content of the wave, the content of the ocean is water. The content of the body-mind complex, one body-mind complex, the content of this one wave is this Chaitanya. The whole Paramatma, the content of Paramatma, like the ocean, the content of Paramatma is also the water. Like water is the Chaitanya. This is how oneness is built. Jiva is equal to Brahman. Shankaracharya's favorite statement, Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. This is what is revealed in this verse. Amsha means part. It's a part of the whole. Amsha is nothing, but it is the whole. This reflection is nothing but the original consciousness. A space inside the room and the space outside the room, there is no difference. It is one space. Like one consciousness, one space. Why do we make it a part? Because of the wall. The space is the same, but the wall divides that space into small space, big space, small part space, big spot space. Similarly, bodies are different, minds are different, many bodies, many minds are there. The content of the body and mind is this atma, the pure light, like the space in a room. The content is the same between your body mind and my body mind. That is the light of consciousness. This is the oneness of the entire universe, which the Bhagavad Gita reveals as the pure atma. We give importance to the body or the mind and forget the content Chaitanya. One space appears as many spaces, one consciousness appears as many bodies. This verse is a very deep verse. I will continue this verse next week because time is up today. We'll start next week with the 39th slide. This slide will continue. There is a little bit more explanations to be given. I will take some more time for this 7th verse. These are all very important verses, yeah, from the 6th verse onwards, up to the 15th or even the 20th verse. From now on, from the 6th to the 20th verse is all Atma Jnanam. Every verse is a bullet. If you try to understand this deeply into your own core of the personality, think about it. Think how beautifully Lord Krishna reveals this nature. Every verse is a beautiful, it's a flower. It's like it's opening up, it's blossoming. Once it blossoms, it reveals its nature. The fragrance comes out. With this, I will stop here. If you have any questions, I will try to answer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. I don't see any questions on the chat box. So if you have any questions, you can ask them now. You can unmute yourself and you can ask your question and I'll try to answer. Anybody has a question at this point of time was what we have discussed today?
I got a question.
Yeah, anybody has a question?
Babu.
Anybody wants to comment on anything which we have just raise your hand in case you're not able to we are not able to hear you. You want to speak, you can raise your hand and let me see. Pisupati, are you trying to say something? Okay. Anybody else?
Secretary, I have a question.
Yeah, Bhagavad, tell me.
This, what do you mean by Ashwin Kumaras of the nose or what?
Ashwin Kumara is a deity. Is a deity or is a devata.
Oh.
It is a devata. It is one of the devatas which controls the sense organs.
Oh.
Okay. It's a Surya devata. You see, you have a Surya devata, right? You have what we see as a sun. Inside the sun, the controller of the sun is a devata. And that devata is controlling my body. The eyes in my body are controlled by the Surya Bhagavan. All our eyes are controlled by the devata, the principle of light.
Oh.
So similarly, we have the devata for different sense organs. I have not put all of the names there. Ashwini Kumar is just a devata, and it is just that you can get the names of all the devatas for all the sense organs in the Tattva Bodha. If you go through the notes, you have attended the Tattva Bodha. So for different sense organs, there are different devatas. That is why we say that the body is not, it cannot exist by itself. You see, the body and the whole cosmos, they are all interconnected. Whatever is in this body happening to our body there is a direct link with the entire cosmos. Like the air you breathe. It is not the air, you see, we are breathing a small portion of air wherever we are situated. But the air you are breathing and the air I am breathing is the same. That is how we can link to all of us as one entity. But behind this air principle, there is a devata which controls the air, movement of air. And behind that is the pure Chaitanya, in which all this is happening. So my mind has to slowly become more subtle and subtle and subtle. When the mind learns to go through these verses, understands these verses slowly, then what happens is, I am able to realize that pure nature of awareness. All these verses are meant to take my mind away from the world, away from the sense organs, away from the devatas. Mind is a medium which comes up in the waking state. The mind goes out as unmanifest in this sleep state. But I am the consciousness, awareness, the truth, which is behind the mind. I am always there, illumining the waking state, illumining the dream state, illumining the sleep state. There is a big power. This atma is not very small, tiny little thing. It is the power of the entire creation. And that power is there in this mind. I learn to drop slowly the delusions in my mind, and I hold on to this pure light as my nature. When I learn to do this, more and more, what happens is, all my old karmas, all the projections which my mind is doing in a day, all that will slowly drop off. And one day, my mind will say, I am free. I am free from this body. I was free. I am free. I will ever be free as the light of consciousness. That is what is called as Jivan Mukti. That is what is called as freedom. When that happens, there is no fear of death, because death belongs to the physical body. Every day I am experiencing the death of the, not the death, disappearance of the physical body in sleep. But I exist as this pure Atma. This is, if you are able to pick up what I said just now, you are free here and now. Remember this truth as the truth revealed by the Bhagavad Gita, is the truth revealed by the Upanishads. Take it as a fact of this universe. The fact of this body and mind is this Atma. Take it as a fact, believe in it, have Shraddha, and then try to lead the life. You will find that the life becomes very easy. If I am this pure light of Atma, what should I then be bothered about? Nothing. I'm ever free. Mind is the one which creates a problem, which projects these problems, and it gets stuck. It is the mind which is in delusion, which is the tamoguna of the mind. Bhagavad Gita uses the gunatraya as the basis of revealing the truth. In the 17th and the 18th chapter, when the Lord concludes the Bhagavad Gita, he uses this method of gunas. When you come to the 18th chapter, I will explain to you in depth, but right now, I'm trying to tell you that this truth, which is revealed now, can be explained in different methods. Okay, there is one more question here. Pisupati is asking this question. Can you please elaborate on Dvaita and Advaita? See, this is a very fundamental question. Dvaitam or Advaitam. There are many students of the Bhagavad Gita who believe that Dvaitam is the truth after studying the Bhagavad Gita. Dvaitam means what? Dvaitam means I am a jiva, I am a limited jiva in this body. There is a Paramatma who is separate from me, and this Paramatma has got many glories. He is Sarva Shaktiman, I am Alpa Shaktiman, I have a finite power, he is infinite. The world is different, I am different, Ishvara is different. This is what is called as Dvaitam. Dvaitam means two. I am different, the creator of this world is different. That is the fundamental definition. World is different, I am different. So Dvaitam means Bheda. Bheda means a difference between me and another individual, between me and the world, between me and God. This is called as Dvaita. Now, what happens is, this Dvaitam, Shankaracharya accepts it. But it is a truth only in a particular state. Dvaitam, Shankaracharya says, is the truth. It is the relative truth. It is not the absolute truth. What is Shankaracharya saying? He says there is another truth. And that truth is Chaitanya. With reference to the body and the mind, you can always say the truth is Dvaita. But with reference to the ultimate Atma, the pure Chaitanya, which I am in my sleep state, I am that pure Chaitanya, watching the mind sleep, I am that pure consciousness, I am the recorder of the sleep state. Without that recorder of the sleep state, next day morning when I wake up, I cannot say I had a good sleep. That recorder which recorded the sleep state of the mind is the invariable presence in the waking state, in the dream state, in the sleep state. I am the same Sakshi. All of us, we all tell, I am the one who had the waking experience. I am the one who had the dream experience. I am the same person who had the sleep experience. So Shankaracharya says, with reference to that Sakshi, that pure awareness, Chaitanyam, which is beyond the physical body and the subtle body and the causal body of ignorance, that is the truth. That is called as Advaita. That is called as non-dual. What is non-dual? Not the body, not the mind, not the ignorance. But what is non-dual is the Sakshi, the light of Atma, which reveals that this body is an appearance, mind is an appearance. Appears in this particular state, disappears. Again it appears, again it disappears. So how can I take an appearing, disappearing phenomena as the ultimate truth of this universe? That is what Shankaracharya argues in the Brahma Sutra. And then he fights over Buddhism. He fights over all philosophers, yoga, nyaya, Vaisheshika, all these were philosophers. They all were great scholars. Visishta Advaitin is a great scholar. All these are all great scholars. Madhavacharya, all these are great scholars of the Vedanta, of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Upanishads, of the Brahma Sutras. But they all committed one mistake of identifying either with the body or mind. This is how Shankaracharya tries to say what is the truth is Advaitam. And then he says you go and analyze the mantras of the Upanishads. And then only he starts going to Brahma Sutra. In Brahma Sutra, if you study Brahma Sutra, there are 555 sutras. Each of those sutras, what it does is it takes a particular verse from the Upanishad. And then wherever there are differences of Dvaitam, Advaitam, Dvaitam, Advaitam, they all get resolved in a text called as Brahma Sutra. This Brahma Sutra is something which you study after the Upanishads. I will take for this group of Saturday, I will take Upanishads and then Brahma Sutra. Some verses of the Brahma Sutra, I had taken the whole of chapter 1 of Brahma Sutra for the Wednesday group. But let's see how the group is at that time. We will see. So I think I've explained to you the Advaitam and Dvaitam. So is it clear now at this level? Is it clear, Isupati? Okay. Then Amiyanshu is asking, is our free will governed by the gunas? The free will is a very, very important aspect of a human being. Free will is an attribute of the mind. And this free will is given to us by God. The question is it governed by the gunas? Being free, how I direct my free will. Okay. So the question is the free will governed by the gunas? Okay. Now, see, the gunas, definitely they control the free will, because in some sattvic, when the sattvic guna is present, your free will is very clear. You want to learn. When you have the rajoguna, your free will says, let me now act. Passion. You'll find everybody, whether we are cooking at home or whether you are working something at home, you'll find that in a day, throughout the day, your temperament in the mind keeps on changing. Whole day, for all of us, not only for you. Each living being, right from an ant onwards to an elephant to a human being to the devatas, all bodies and minds are influenced by the three gunas. This is the revelation of Lord Krishna in the 18th chapter. There is a verse which says, nobody can escape the influence of the three gunas as long as one has a body and mind. In whichever loka you are there. And the free will is governed by two factors. One is karma. Karma itself is one of the main factors for the free will. Some people who are born with some deficiencies in their bodies, their free will is limited. So then what will we say? Is the guna influencing? No, it is the karma. The prarabdha karma is influencing the free will. A man is born rich. He has got more free will than you and me. He can go to Oxford Street and buy the entire shopping mall. So many things. So the free will is also related to our past karmas. It is related to the body. It is related to the mind. When it is related to the mind, it is influenced by the gunas. When it is related to the body, it is related through the prarabdha karma, which has given birth to this body. And the free will changes during our lifetime. It changes. The free will you had when you were a 10-year-old boy and the free will when you are 55 years old or 60 years old is different. The free will gets clamped as you become older and older. So the karma is responsible and the gunas. The three gunas, they determine your free will. The karma determines your free will. Free will is something which is governed by many factors, not one or two. But atma is the light in which you are using the free will. So learn to drop that free will and say, okay, the free will is just for us to transact in the world. You know, doing good, doing dharma, avoiding adharma. You use free will. It is provided by God so that we can avoid all adharmic actions. We do dharmic actions of duty. Our role in life as a grihastha should be to do my duty, at the same time understand who am I. It's possible. While living here, do my duty. Understand I have a free will to take action every single moment of my life. Every moment I have a free will, I say, yes, I have a free will to do what I want to do. I will follow as per the laws of dharma. Whatever is the law of dharma, whatever duties I am supposed to perform in any ashrama, I will perform. Suppose I'm a banker, I will do the job of a banker. I'm a father, I will do a job, I will do the duty of a father, as a mother, as a sister. All throughout our life, if you go to see, our whole life, really, if you analyze, most of us are doing our duties. We earn money to safeguard, to maintain our body. We earn money to build a house. That is also to maintain the body for a few years. And why do we maintain the body? To do duty. The whole transactional world, if you see in the Vedic lifestyle, in the Vedic period, they all perform their duty. They know the Lord created Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Shudra. All this was created to maintain, to do a specific duty of an individual as per his prarabdha karma. You see, again, the duty all comes to us because of our past. Why I'm a mother, I'm not a father, why I'm in this particular family, under this sister, under this sibling, why I'm born like this is all karma. So your question, I hope I'm cleared. Anshu, is it clear?
Thank you very much. That means for a Gyani, there is free will only for transactional purpose.
Yes, only for transactional purpose, not to know whether he is Atma or Anatma.
Right, understood.
Atma Anatma is basically coming from the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. The spiritual knowledge comes directly to us because we have used our free will correctly. We have got four Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. All this is because we have free will. Only because we have free will, they describe there are four goals of life. We have free will to achieve these four goals. A jnani is the one who has taken the moksha as the parama purushartha. He has taken that as my priority, number one priority over all other three. Dharma, Artha, Kama has become subservient to his moksha purushartha. For him, moksha is the aim. And this will become an aim only if you come to know that I am in bondage of my mind. The moment I realize that there is some bondage of this mind to this body, I'm linked to this, I'm attached to this body, through the body I'm attached to the world, then that bondage becomes clear. Then the bondage becomes clear, the moksha rises. The blossoming of the moksha rises. Then your mind says, I must study the Bhagavad Gita. And through these verses of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 15th chapter, the 6th verse, the 7th verse, till the 20th verse, all these verses are talking to us about the moksha purushartha.
Clear.
Okay, good. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Very good question. Any other questions in the group?
Yes, sir. Malati. Namaste.
Yeah, Malati, tell me.
Yes, free will, moksha, karma, these all are come in the matured mind. But
Yes.
when a person is very young, when in his childhood, he acts according to the instinct. Still, he is accountable for his deeds. Isn't it very cruel?
Is it very cruel, you mean?
Yeah.
No. You see, no. You see, each one of us, even in the childhood, you will not do very, very harmful things. You will do whatever your limited mind is able to say yes, no. That is how we are all growing. See, our mind is growing. Our mind is growing. When we are child, we are growing, we become mature, and then you cannot say that a child is, if he's making mistakes, that is why parents are there to correct him. The teachers are there to correct him. The society is there to correct the child. So it's a beautiful world in which the child also gets corrected. So Purushartha, when he is a child, he cannot use his Purushartha. Baby cannot use its Purushartha. At 2 months, 3 months, there is no Purushartha for the baby.
This is to study Bhagavad Gita, and I have to know the correct meaning of this word, the moksha and all. Almost it comes after some 30 years, after 35 years of age and all. And before that, he has committed so many mistakes.
No. See, don't worry about those things. You see, what happens is, you're right. You are asking this question because now you have learned the Bhagavad Gita and you have understood there is something called as a moksha purushartha and all that. I agree with your statement. 99.9% of the population of the world has not even heard about Bhagavad Gita. They have not heard.
Yeah.
But they are all living their life. So each jiva is going through a pattern of what his karma phalam is. You cannot push a jiva and say, tomorrow morning you come and study Bhagavad Gita. It won't happen. As the mind matures, only then, when, see, in the Mundaka Upanishad, it clearly says that when the jiva has seen the world, After maturity only, he sees that there is no meaning in this life. If he leads a way as he is leading. If I have lived 40 years, 50 years of my life as a jiva, as my likes and dislikes, I will be leading my life till the end of the life as with my likes and dislikes. That is what every 99% does. Very few, they come to learn the inner. There is a urge in us. It comes to us because of the previous birth vasanas. To many of us, these vasanas don't even come throughout the life. Even at the age of 80, this vasana is not there. The vasana for the world is there, but not for the Bhagavad Gita. So it is the vasana which brings us to the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. So there are millions of minds which are there, which will evolve over a period of time. So your question of
till then he has to karma phala.
Yes,
So,
he has to do karma yoga.
No, karma phala. When he committed some mistakes when he was 10 years old, because he was also not matured at that time.
Yes,
when he was 15 years old, he is not matured at that age.
Yes.
But when after 35 years of age, he realizes, okay, I have to find something meaningful in my life. Then he starts to learn this Bhagavad Gita and the meaning of the life. He starts to think about that. But
Yes.
before that, I mean, before 20, when he is 10 years old or 15 years old, still he is accountable for his deeds.
You see, yes, you're right. All of us are accountable for the actions which we do. The karma phalam which we get is as per the actions.
Yeah. Ignorance,
Okay.
because of the ignorance of this karma phala and all, he may have done all those deeds and all.
Yes.
Still he has to
Yes.
use this one.
That is why spirituality is an evolution. It is not a revolution. It just happens one day and then it immediately. It is an evolution. It's a process. It is a slow, gradual process in one's life journey. This study of Bhagavad Gita can come in this life, may not come in this life also. A person can spend not why 35 years you are saying. He may spend till 80 years. And he may commit a lot of mistakes. You see, there are many people who keep making mistakes in, people who are having asuric tendencies, they're like terrorists and so on. Now they lead the whole life. They take their own life. You see what's happening in Afghanistan today. Now, see, how can I see this? And I also come to understand how come I learn Bhagavad Gita and try to understand, go into such depths. Whereas outside in the world, I'm able to see the world with the different. That is what is called as seeing that there is plurality definitely in the world. There is differences in the world. The only thing which I can try to resolve this is by understanding the law of karma. There is a prarabdha karma which is attached to this body and mind. Up to that particular age, he has done certain actions. It has given him certain rewards as per the law of karma. As per the law of prarabdha karma, I have got nothing else. There is no other explanation in the Bhagavad Gita or any of the Upanishads which tells us why there are differences in this world and why at a certain time suddenly you become interested, and because up to that time you had that life to lead as per the blueprint which you have given to Bhagavan to give this body and mind.
I am counting my mistakes I have done.
Forget about all the
Earlier days.
mistakes. No. Don't forget about the mistakes.
And worrying about my future janma.
Now you only think that I have the opportunity to grow out of all those. Everybody becomes mature.
Yes.
You see, this when the cucumber becomes mature, it drops from the tree. When a mango gets ripened, it drops automatically down. Similarly, when the mind matures, it will grow. So don't worry about the past. Forget all about the past. This is one of the best things we learn in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna teaches us, forget your entire past. Only live in the present. Right now, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Always live in the present. Don't even think of the future. I will be like that. I will be like that. I have to do so many books, or I have to learn so much of Upanishads. Forget about it. All that will happen when it happens. What can I do today? What can I learn today? How can I grow today? That's all. Two things in life you do. One is do your duty. Whatever duty you are supposed to perform on that particular day, do your duty. Second is learn the scriptures whatever you can. Whatever. You are attending these sessions once a week, very good. Let it slowly evolve. Let it slowly become a part and parcel of your own life. So as you evolve, you will grow. And learn to live today. Today, right now, I have to do this duty and I will fulfill to the best of my ability. Remain focused on day to day. Okay, any other questions?
Secondly,
Bolo, bye.
just now she was saying that even the devas, they are not what they call it. You said she was saying that even devas have the three gunas, is it?
Yeah, devatas also have the gunas. They also go through the ups and downs. But if they have the body, you see, the devata is nothing but a superior body.
Mm-hmm.
They are living in a different, in the higher worlds, you see.
Mm-hmm.
They have a different body. What they say is, as long as you have a body, you will have the three gunas. In the 18th chapter, there is a verse which says that that as long as the body is there, the gunas will affect the body.
So it does affect even Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu, whatever.
Yeah. You see, don't think too much about the devatas because they have very, very high powers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
See, their powers are unlimited. So there you cannot experience, you cannot say that the Lord Shiva, you see, he's a lord of the entire destruction of the whole universe.
Mm-hmm.
That is his nature. So don't think too much about it because you can never even imagine what their powers are.
Mm-hmm.
They have tremendous powers. The Pitrus themselves have got big powers. The ancestors, they have big powers, better powers than us. See, look at the ant. Suppose you look at the ant and a mosquito and you look at your power.
Mm-hmm.
Your power is much more superior than the ant or your power to study, your power to eat, your power to run, your power to walk. You know, so many things you can do which ant cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, is when you cannot compare this body with a Devata Sharir.
I see. Oh, because as you were saying, even devatas are, not free from the three gunas. So
yes, that is what is revealed by Lord Krishna. He says, as long as you have a shariram, shariram means you have a body and mind. Mm-hmm. You cannot be free. That is why they also have a life. They say Surya Devata has a life. The Prithvi Devata has a life up to it's billions of years, so you can't compare that.
Okay, thank you, Sekaji.
Okay. Akshay is saying Adi Shankara said liberation can't be attained without knowledge. In Gita, Lord Krishna has said, without bhakti, you can't reach me. So can you throw some light on this? Okay. See, Bhagavad Gita is a text meant for all types of minds. There are people who are devotees who see Bhagavan in a form. To those devotees, Bhagavan says, Bhakti is the path for you. Stick to Bhakti and you will grow and you will reach me. Bhagavan does not want to bring down any person who wants to free himself from his own limitations. So when this is Bhakti is glorified in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this is a glorification of Bhakti, not to say that jnana is not good. In that particular context, he is saying, when he is referring to the bhaktas who know the bhakti mode only, to them he is saying, you come through bhakti to me. Means it is a step. It's one of the steps. Through bhakti you come to jnana. From jnanam you come to me. So Upanishads are very clear. Jnana tevadu kaivalyam is the Upanishadic mantra. Knowledge is the ultimate. So the way this particular question is being answered in the Brahma Sutra, very good question. It's a very deep question. So you are right, bhakti is a method, but it is glorified to say that you come to bhakti, not to say that that is the final step. It is not the ultimate step. It is one of the steps. Come and think about me. That's what in the Bhagavad Gita. So see, Bhagavad Gita starts with karma yoga, goes to upasana yoga, goes to bhakti yoga. Then ultimately it says, come to jnana. What we are learning in the 15th chapter is jnana yoga. Now he could have taught this in the 3rd chapter itself. No, he took the 3rd chapter as karma yoga, 6th chapter as upasana yoga, 10 and 11 as upasana yoga. 12th he said you come to bhakti yoga, because by the 10th and 11th chapter you have got so much of reverence for the Lord. The entire vibhutis was explained by Lord Krishna in the 10th chapter. So that when the devotee says that, oh my God, this is Lord's vibhuti, this is Lord's vibhuti. And then the Lord showed that everything happens in him only in the 11th chapter. All in Lord in one form. Then the bhakti rises in that devotee. And therefore, in the 12th chapter, he says, bhakti is the method. It is not said that that is the only method. It is a stepping stone. This is how we have to interpret the Bhagavad Gita correctly. Whenever you have statements which are confusing statements like this one, we have to use the Mimamsa method of correct interpretation of these verses. You have to accommodate them. You cannot say that it is a pramanam. We have to, this is a pramanam, we cannot throw it away. Because then each one will throw away a part of the Upanishad or the part of the Gita, and then finally nothing will be left. So what the Vedantin, always the scholars, what they do is, they reinterpret these verses as a stepping stone, not as the ultimate. Bhakti leads to a guru. The guru will show the path of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Through the knowledge, ultimately you get your moksha. So Akshay, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Very nice.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think if there are no more questions, we'll close for the day. Anybody else?
That's all, I think. Good night.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll continue this verse, the 39th slide next week. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Shekharji. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.